G'day everyone, I am the man called Kemosabe, the man with a plan from the land down under, and welcome to my review of Night Twink issue 2. No, I didn't stutter, that's Night Twink. Night Twink. A twink being defined by Wikipedia as a term for a young or young-looking gay or bisexual man. So, there you go. I reviewed issue 1 previously on my own channel, I'll link it below. Maybe go watch that before finishing this review if you haven't already. I kind of feel like the same 50 or so people that watch all my reviews have probably seen it by now. In the last issue, Will, and I had to dig deep to remember his name, furious over a recent spate of gay bashings, felt motivated to do something about it, seeking to answer violence with violence. Instead of actually doing that, he instead got dressed up in fetish leather, his words, and went to a gay nightclub to take narcissistic selfies and watch strange men bum each other in alleyways. When he saw one of the gang members responsible for the bashings target a young gay man, Will grabbed a butt plug on a string and used it like, I don't know, a web line or a tether line to kind of web swing into the alley and stop the gay kid from getting his head split open. Will also used the butt plug on a string to disarm and bind his opponents. And then using his MMA fighting skills that had been lampshaded earlier in the book, Will defeats the bad guys, gay upside-down Spider-Man kisses the victim in an alleyway, and defies gravity and good taste by web-swinging away on that same butt plug on a string. Why is it even on a string? I don't get it. Why would you attach that sort of object to a string? What's the purpose? Why does it have such a heavy weight-bearing load? Anyway. Book 2 picks up immediately after that moment. Before the book starts, the creator, writer, artist, colourer and letterer Shane Rivette inserts a few paragraphs explaining his motivation in making the series. As a one-man team, it must be a significant task to create a comic single-handedly. Before we look at Shane's heartfelt spiel, I will quickly refer back to issue 1, or more specifically my review of it. I was pretty hard on the book, and rightly so. The art was subpar, the story jumbled, and the themes heavy-handed with shallow characters and a mixed message. It had an identity crisis. Was it a serious look at the violence and obstacles faced by gay men in the modern UK? Or was it soft-core gay porn with depictions of erections and pages of strange men engaging in public group sex? I posited it can't be both. You can't make a comic claiming, us poor gays, the straights keep bashing us, and every act, action and habit of the gay men involved in that book make them incredibly vulnerable to that self-same oppression. Gays are getting bashed in a public area known as Shag Alley, so naturally every gay man in a 10-mile radius makes their way there to have sex with strangers. Maybe don't? Shane Rivette seems to be trying to make a serious point about the violence inherent in the seedy underbelly of the gay nightclub sex scene, but at the same time was justifying and even glorifying that scene. His stance seemed to be, we should be able to have sex with multiple strangers in public and not face any consequences for it. So how is monkeypox treating the gay community? Whether it's AIDS, monkeypox or gay bashings, you could just stay home, or be in a monogamous relationship, or get a hotel, anything else. You can't spend half a comic saying sucking rando dick in dark alleyways is living my best life, then be surprised when that dangerous practice gets your teeth kicked in. Yeah, the thugs targeting the gay guys shouldn't do it, but it's clear from Rivette's narration that danger is an inherent, even welcome part of the scene. The danger of playing AIDS roulette in an alleyway is okay, but staying home to not be targeted by gay bashers is a shade too far. That dog don't hunt. And maybe Shane knew that. Maybe he watched my review. Probably not. Either way, he has this little blurb in the front of book 2 trying to clear up all the confusion. He writes, "Thank you for purchasing Night Twink Deluxe Edition, Deluxe Issue 2. I bought the Deluxe Edition. It's got all these pin-ups that I can't show you on YouTube. This was completed relatively quickly over early 2022, and I wanted to cement a protagonist's motivation with this issue. There are many celebrating love in the world through their comics, and that's lovely. However, I think LGBTQ+, where's the IA bigot? Life still suffers from unrelenting oppression and hate, and I just didn't see that being represented in any medium. We often see pictures of homophobic assaults, the victims and attackers, but what I wanted to show was the actual attack and the thought process that goes into it, and the horror of it. This look on life I will funnel through Will as he feels the need to draw that line in the sand against the oppressors. Whereas I'd never advocate any violent approaches to solving problems, I consider the comic book violence I illustrate as a metaphor for fighting back against fascism and oppression, as LGBTQ+ people have had to do for many years." So last time I reviewed one of these books, I did this bit where I did my best Christian Bale Batman impersonation and read the heavy-handed dialogue from the first 10 pages or so. Was it funny? I thought so. No one else mentioned it, but I enjoyed it, and I'm going to do it again and no one can stop me.
It's deep into the night, the dusk before the dawn, and I'm flush with battle. I just took out 3 thugs about to beat up some young gay lad. I feel I could take them all on again, and I can't deny how horny I am with it.
Hold on. Imagine if Spider-Man defeated, I don't know, Mysterio and said, gee, can't wait to go bang some sleuths. Imagine if Nightwing took down some Arkham reject and was all, damn, gotta find me some thoughts to slay. It wouldn't fly, no matter how hard Globo Homo tries to gaslight you. This was my whole point about these comics. I can't take them seriously because they are being disingenuous about their goals. Is this an attempt to highlight the awful oppression the gay community faces? Or is it a chance for Shane to have his Twink self-insert
phrasing?
vigilante suck off 2 cops in an alleyway? Yes, that actually happens. You can't do both. You can't say, hey, look how hard
phrasing?
we have it as gays these days, and also have your character ride the cock carousel. If you had a female character and had her do the same thing, you and your creation would be ridiculed. You'd be seen as an awful, creepy smut peddler. Is it any different for gay creators and creations? If so, why is it different? Why is a young man blowing 2 strangers in an alleyway stunning and brave, but a woman doing that looked down upon? I mean, they should both be looked down upon, honestly. It's disgusting. Imagine a female vigilante, costumed, firm no-kill rules, some sort of gimmick to strike terror into the heart of evildoers. Her parents were killed by the mob, that sort of thing. Instead of strong-arming guys for information, instead of blackmailing them or threatening them or bribing them, she drops to her knees and performs oral sex on them all. Could you take a character like that seriously? Would they still be considered a hero in your mind? Women forced to exchange sex to survive in times of war, in fiction or post-apocalyptic scenarios, it's not glorified, it's not sexy, it's harsh, it's hard to watch. It's a stark reminder of how good we have it right now and how bad it can get. This perfectly frames the issue I have with these LGBTQ books. Like so much of the Pride movement, so much of the pro-LGBTQ mindset, the one that promotes the way of life beyond tolerance into acceptance and then beyond acceptance into some sort of strange deification, it is its inherent inability to be separated from the act of sex that delegitimizes it and makes it virtually impossible to result in a good story. Speaking of story, let's have a look at this book. Once you remove all the pin-ups, covers and extras, you're left with 26 comic pages. The first third of the book is Will recounting the events of the last issue, then chasing after a mysterious car, and learning that whoever drives it is giving the Skull Hood gang its orders. Those orders ostensibly to go around bashing the gays, or something. There's absolutely no way the straight old white man seen last issue on the news isn't in that car. He screamed mastermind bad guy for the 3 panels he was on the page. I'd also like to guess he's a closeted homosexual in some capacity, as all the men in this book seem to be. So the car chasing scene took 9 pages. Stan and Jack would have given you half of a whole self-contained story in this amount of time, and they did it multiple times every month. The next third of the book is Will saving Sean from the same group of bad guys who already beat up that night. It seems redundant. I feel like we're getting the same story twice. Then they take off back to Will's place, and the last 7 pages of the book is this overly verbose discussion about Will's eagerness to keep fighting and Sean trying to talk him out of it. Will's all about fighting against the oppression he feels. Sean wants to let the police handle it. Again, it all rings hollow because the solution to this violent oppression is right there, and none of them want to talk about it. Why haven't any straight men been bashed? Is it because the attackers are all violent homophobes, or is it because all the straight guys are at home fucking their wives? I mean, cause and effect, guys. This issue ends with Sean coming across a video made by the Skull Hoods challenging Night Twink to a one-on-one fight against the leader of the gang. It's a pretty bland cliffhanger. Hardly a fight for the soul of the city. I reckon there's a kind of Dunning-Kruger effect in art where the more you try to do with a limited talent set, the worse it all looks. This issue somehow looks worse than the first, with filtered photos, traced 3D backgrounds, and a seemingly unlimited supply of blank backgrounds panel after panel. At every opportunity, Sean is drawn as a mincing buffoon, squealing and prancing like a Warner Brothers cartoon female fleeing a rampart rodent. At every chance, Will is drawn with his hips cocked in a feminine stance. The borders of the panel stretch low to make sure his bulge is prominent in his pants. Shane Rivette never misses any opportunity to sexualize his character, whether it's an awkward legs akimbo stance, erect nipples on every page, or the base of Will's penis frequently depicted poking out from his costume. None of this is necessary, and none of it is by accident. It's deliberate, it's designed to titillate the author, certainly, and his audience, I guess. If ever there was a case of it wasn't made for you, bigot, this is it. But it speaks to the purpose of the project. I believe Shane Rivette is genuine, or more specifically, I believe he believes he was genuine in his opening monologue. Either he really believes what he is saying about empowerment and fighting oppression, and all the erect nipples and titillation is incidental, proving that LGBTQ content is incapable of divesting itself from sex, or it's deliberate, and the point of this book is to act as soft-core wish fulfillment for gay fans of badly drawn street-level vigilante comics. Either way, it proves that the major flaw of LGBTQ media and its inability to find a foothold in mainstream entertainment isn't the fact that it contains gay characters. It's the inability to separate the sexualized content from the story, and as always, story is king. Will says gays hate the stereotypes levelled at them and have to work hard to undo them. But how can an LGBT creator do that? How can anyone separate the sex from gay content when the gay identity is hinged so heavily on the act of sex? According to Rivette, gay culture is almost wholly about hooking up, about the sex. The clothes, the slang, the places they go and the people they interact with, it's all sex-centric, sex-focused. The saddest thing about these books isn't the art of the story. It's the idea that gays don't value themselves as anything more than sexualized objects. Even when given carte blanche, they invariably revert to this mindset. Shane's a one-man team. He created this entire book from scratch. Nobody told him what content to include. He chose to sexualize his character. Shane Rivette wants to have a frank discussion about the oppression of gay people, but the truth is that this book is evidence that no one is oppressing the gays as badly as they are oppressing themselves.